Hi there, my name is Sandra Martin, and I'm a housewife in Gardner, Maine. I have 6 kids, and I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm talking to you today about cross-contamination in light of the coronavirus pandemic. I'm out on my deck, so sorry about the traffic noise, and I have 6 kids, like I said, so it's possible one of them will come bolting out here and interrupt me at any point. So sorry about that. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is that I post quite a bit about cross-contamination on Facebook. Um, as mostly all of you know, we're in, a pretty bad space. People are afraid. They don't know exactly who will be affected by this virus or exactly how life-threatening it is. And mostly I think people are just really worried that they will come in contact with somebody who could be an asymptomatic carrier, and either they themselves will contract the coronavirus or they'll pass it on to a loved one who is vulnerable, and nobody wants that. So let me just start by saying that what we do know about coronavirus is that it's most of the time not going to cause a problem for people. People with normally reactive immune systems will experience flu-like symptoms. If anything, they could also be asymptomatic and never have known that they were carrying it or experiencing it. The problem really comes in for those people who we've identified as being vulnerable. So far we know that those people are the elderly, people with respiratory issues already, people who are immune suppressed, but also people who are overreactive in terms of their immunity. What I mean by that is that an awful lot of people who wind up on ventilators as a result of being infected by COVID experience what's called a cytokine storm, which is a reaction that happens in the body when the immune system responds inappropriately by really overreacting to such a degree that their body becomes massively inflamed, including their lungs, and they experience a systemic shutdown of their vital organs, including their lungs, and essentially drown in their fluid in their lungs. So for those people who cannot get COVID, it's extremely important to know how to protect them, which is where cross-contamination comes into this. So I'll start off by saying that I typically do not wear a mask when I go out. Most likely I was already exposed to COVID. All my kids were coughing like we lived on a TB ward back in February, so I wouldn't be shocked if they had already had it. The reason that I don't wear a mask is not because I don't care about other people at all. It's because I myself don't want to forget that I am not safe wearing a mask, and I'm not keeping other people safe wearing a mask. What I mean by that is, although it can be somewhat helpful, it's not ultimately helpful. The reason I say that is because those contaminants, any germs that you have that you could share with another person, will be on your hands, they could be on the rest of your body, anywhere. And to wear a mask for me gives me the idea that, well, first of all, I'm distracted by it when I'm in the store. I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. But it gives the idea that somehow I'm being safer than I actually really need to be. For those people who cannot risk getting this virus, cross-contamination is absolutely the key to keeping them safe. So, if you yourself are a vulnerable person, or if you come in direct contact with someone who is a vulnerable person, then here's what you need to know. If you have this virus in your body right now and you're asymptomatic, you don't know it, imagine that your whole self is hot lava, essentially. And anything that you touch, breathe on, lick, whatever, could be burning someone else that it comes in contact with. So what I typically do when I go into a store is I sanitize my hands because I'm going to be touching a grocery cart. I would never go out if I was sick, and absolutely no one should be out spreading, anything knowingly. If they're sick, you need to get somebody else to go to the store for you, run your errands, whatever you need to do. But if you think that you're sick, don't go out. It's not right for everybody else. But you're feeling well. Let's just assume you're fine. In that case, I go out to the store. I sanitize my hands. I'm going to be touching the grocery cart. When I go through the store, I don't pick up anything that I'm not planning on buying. If I put it in my cart, it's got hot lava on it. And it's extremely important for me not to be leaving hot lava all over anybody else's groceries, because I can't take the risk that they're going to go home and sanitize all their stuff before they touch it. So, also, if you are a person who wants to wear a mask, feel that it helps you be safer when you go to the store, it's important to know that anytime you touch your face or your mask to readjust it, or maybe your glasses were fogged up, you need to take them off to clean them, you have now reinfected yourself. You have hot lava all over your hands again, and they need to be sanitized again before you start reaching out and touching anything in the store. And again, if you touch anything, make sure that it goes in your cart and you take it home with you. So, and also, of course, we all have social distancing measures in place in stores. So if you're not a mask person, as I am not, then you want to be 6 feet away from people. One person I know said, well, what if somebody tells you a super funny joke and you're laughing and spitting everywhere? Well, typically that doesn't happen when you're 6 feet away from a person. But if it did happen, being 6 feet away from that person would be really helpful. So now you have gotten your stuff, you're checking out. You want to be mindful that the pin pad that you touch, anything else that you touch, receipt, any of that, all that has hot lava on it. It's all your germs. So that person who is doing that transaction with you, it's imperative that they also are following cross-contamination guidelines, because whatever you touched that is now on them, they have hot lava on them. And if they go home and they have a vulnerable person at home, or if they are a vulnerable person, they will need to sanitize themselves. So if you're going home to a person who you need to make sure is not going to get sick, wearing a mask while you're out is not going to be really helpful, because you could have very well touched something with hot lava on it and come home with hot lava on yourself. And there's just no way to get around it. We all know that everybody can be an asymptomatic carrier. So what you would need to do in that case is make sure that you, as the person coming in direct contact with somebody who can't afford to get this, is creating a barrier between you and them. You should be wearing your mask at home, because you could be asymptomatic. Wash your hands at home. Anybody who is a healthcare worker, is around anybody who shouldn't get this, should be taking the personal responsibility to know that if they're in direct contact, it's up to them. Other than that, we're never supposed to not get sick. The whole reason for these shutdowns was to keep the hospitals from becoming overcrowded. We don't have a vaccine on the way anytime soon. The only real way to keep this virus at bay is to have no place to go, meaning that enough people have been exposed so that the virus has no one left to jump to. And that's actually a great way to prevent transmission to people who are, just not going to be able to get this. So Go out, breathe fresh air. It's great for you. All the healthy bacterial flora in the air is great for your own immune system. It's going to help your mood. It's going to keep you in contact with people. Many, many people are suffering from depression, isolation. It's bad out here. So, I know there are going to be some people who say, oh, what does this girl even really know? Because I'm not a scientist nor a doctor. I will say this, just to be political for one little second. If you want to start throwing the word science around, and this is not necessarily a scientific video, this is a video about common sense and how germs spread and how not to spread them. But if you want to go there, anybody who is going to go out on a limb and say that a baby can be aborted in the womb up till the time that it's born because it's not really a person, it's just a fetus, probably should not be commenting about the lack of science in this video. So, that being said, stay well, stay safe, don't be afraid. Mostly everybody who gets this will not have a rough go of it. Some people will, but we're doing our best out there in the hospitals to help people out with, in some case, immunosuppressive drugs that will help with that overreaction of the immune system. We're doing what we can, but we were never meant to not get sick. This is, not everybody else's fault. We are the front line to protect the people that are vulnerable, and that's about it. So thanks.